Coffee Pot Conversations.
Bonjour et bienvenue to Coffee Pot Conversations, where the point is often a moving target, but the scenery is world class. 50 episodes. It's a strange number to arrive at, not because it sounds particularly impressive. There are thousands of podcasts out there with the same sort of numbers and more, but it's impressive because it means that this little idea of mine kept going, which, if I'm honest, did surprise me. What started off as a microphone, a cup of coffee, and the dangerous assumption that my thoughts might somehow be useful to other people has now, it's become a constant 2.5 year ongoing project with 50 separate actual episodes and a handful of extras. Some of these recordings were carefully planned, some were held together by instinct, a few kind of went off far from the original point that I was no longer entirely sure where it began. Going from a simple audio experience to a more complex video detail, and then, meeting somewhere in the middle. I still need to find my reading tone though. Over these 50 episodes, Coffee Pot Conversations, hosted by an Englishman in Paris, has drifted through Parisian streets, hidden histories, writing culture, memory, cafes, observations, and those small details most people walk past without noticing, such as the fact I'm on the beach, not in Paris. And that's why I love Paris so much, because it's a city built on things easily overlooked. And I suppose this podcast has quietly become a bit like that. We have a collection of moments, thoughts, pinned to particular weeks, moods and walks and conversations, like faded signs above old Parisian shop fronts or notes left in the margins of books nobody expected to keep. The genuinely important part though, it's you, the listeners, or the watchers, the ones taking the time to make time, and for those of you to just, imagine standing in a room choosing to listen to me. Whether you've been here since episode 1 or accidentally arrived, somewhere around episode 43, while searching for something entirely different, I appreciate it enormously. Attention has become one of the rarest things people can give now. And the fact you choose to spend some of your time here still feels quite remarkable to me. The kettle, reassuringly, is still on. There are still stories to tell, strange corners to wander, and historical rabbit holes that absolutely should not disappear down at 11 o'clock at night. And after 50 episodes, I still begin most recordings with only a vague idea of where they're going, which, in fairness, I think is the whole point of it. And now, over to Paul with the final news of the season. Paul. Thanks, Paul. The Pont Neuf is currently closed to all traffic and pedestrians while the city sets up a temporary art installation by French artist JR. It will fully reopen to pedestrians on June the 6th, 2026 for a free immersive exhibit that will remain accessible around the clock until June 28th, 2026. The street artist JR, frequently dubbed the French Banksy, has spent the week inflating a massive artificial cave directly over Paris's oldest bridge. It's an 18-metre high jagged mass of grey fabric and air, meant to evoke the ancient limestone quarries from which Paris was literally carved. I suppose it gives a whole new meaning to underground art. If you thought the changing of the guard at City Hall would mean a truce in the great Parisian war on cars, think again. Our freshly minted mayor, Emmanuel Reroy, just laid out the city's grand blueprints for the roads, and while he's trying to sound a bit more accommodating than his predecessor, the reality on the asphalt hasn't changed. The banks of the Seine are staying firmly pedestrianised, and the city is moving ahead with plans to systematically strip motor vehicle access from about 1,000 streets near schools, and local drivers are now realising that the heavy SUV parking penalties are very much here to stay, despite the gentler political rhetoric. It seems the new administration is perfectly happy to keep turning the screws on motorists, and they're just doing it with a polite smile now. you might want to finally dust off that Velib card after all. So, on top of this, if you've walked past the public elementary schools lately, you might have noticed some distinctly tense parents all huddled around the gates. On Wednesday, May the 20th, the Conseil de Paris erupted into a massive, highly charged debate over the future of the city's public school system, specifically targeting a wave of controversial class closures. The local town halls are feeling the heat, I was going to say the heart, but they're feeling the heat as furious parents and teachers rally against the cuts, warning that stripping back resources is going to push local families straight out of the city and into the suburbs. The politicians are trying to frame it as a logical adjustment to a dipping birth rate, but try explaining demographic curves to a parent whose kids now squeezed into a room with 30 others. It turns out that taking away a neighbourhood classroom is a spectacular way to unite Parisians in pure, unadulterated outrage. So, good luck to the administration getting through the rest of this council session in one piece. Because Paris apparently can't go more than 6 months without accidentally volunteering itself for another gigantic international event, a complete curveball landed in the city's summer calendar, and the local gaming crowd is absolutely losing its mind. Out of nowhere, it was officially announced that Paris has been selected to host the 2026 Esports World Cup this July, completely bypassing its usual home in Riyadh. We are talking about over 2,000 international players, hundreds of elite competitive clubs, and a mind-melting $75 million prize pool landing right on Paris's doorstep for a 7-week marathon. Local hospitality businesses are already quietly rubbing their hands together at the prospect of millions of digital native fans flooding the arrondissements. And this is while city planners are frantically trying to figure out where to squeeze the arenas. Just when we collectively thought we'd survived the era of peak mega event chaos, well, Paris finds a bizarre way to turn the dead of summer into a giant high stakes arcade. Good luck finding a quiet terrace from July the 6th to August 23rd. For decades, the immediate perimeter around Gare du Nord has held a reputation for being, shall we say, a bit intense and thoroughly chaotic, but the city just officially showed off the newly almost completed revamp of the station's approaches, and the transformation is turning some heads. They've cleared out the old clutter, they've widened the pavements, and they've planted a surprising amount of greenery in an effort to make Europe's busiest transit hub look slightly less intimidating to arriving travellers. Locals, who usually sprint through the area with their heads down, are actually stopping to look around, adjusting to a version of the 10th arrondissement that feels weirdly spacious. Of course, whether a few dozen new trees can permanently soothe the raw, frantic energy of Gare du Nord, it remains to be seen. At the very least, it gives you a slightly nicer backdrop while dodging G7 taxis, delivery cyclists, and confused tourists dragging suitcases sideways across the pavement. It's not completely finished yet, but it's almost there, much like over up the side of the Moulin Rouge in Rue Lepic, with their attempt at beautifying the area by using giant flower beds. Did you know that Gare du Nord is now the busiest train station in Europe, with more than 200 million passengers per year? And it's finally happened. The 6th season culling, and this time it's Emily in Paris. Netflix confirmed season 6 will be the last and final season of Emily in Paris. Am I sad by this news? Yes, absolutely. Am I shocked? Absolutely yes again, but because while the series has always been wildly unrealistic, occasionally ridiculous, culturally chaotic, and about as subtle as a Vespa driving through a boulangerie, it still managed to provide something oddly comforting. A version of Paris permanently suspended in sparkle. It's a shame, but as Netflix should be saying with their next advertising campaign, we'll always have Emily in Paris.
Coffee Pot Conversations.
So, season 5 recorded November 2024. What's my best bits? That's a difficult one. Was it spending time around Paris? Well, yeah, that's pretty much my best bit, I guess. Having recorded it all in bulk, sort of batching it, sort of similar but different to season 4. I wanted to reduce the size of the episodes just to try and get it to sort of, you know, a half-hour style of podcast. I think my hours were a little too long. I mean, it was nice, but then I would have run out on season 4, so I had to try and shorten them and lengthen them and blah blahs with all the rest of it. But with season 5, I sort of did have that problem, as can be seen by the fact that some of it has gone over into season 6, and that's not a problem. It just took up a little bit of additional time because, you know. But yeah, that wasn't really an issue. It was enjoyable. Best bits. Well, I don't actually remember much of them. I think just trying to come up with new inventive ways for the news, which is more than likely what Jasper's going to say when I ask them shortly. But season 5, yeah, it was, I suppose, the preparation of it all, recording as I went, or like writing and then recording it all in one hit sort of thing. That was an effort, but as I enjoyed that. It was the study behind it all, and making sure that I was all ready to record when I went back last year. But that then, I suppose, leads me on to the biggest, best bit, is officially forgetting all the little Christmas ones and the specials, like interviews. 50 episodes. That's like fanfare stuff. Apparently not many podcasts I say not many podcasts last till over 50. Yeah, there's quite a lot out there, but percentage-wise, a lot of them don't. Some of them give up after, I was checking figures out on different websites and stuff, and some give up after 3 or 7 or 20. But I've carried on to 50. Now I know it's not strictly been 50 separate ones. Some I have, obviously, like season 3 and 4, which was technically 18 episodes. I've split them down, but nonetheless I've stuck with it every second and 4th Tuesday of the months of January through to May, and then starting up again for the second half of the season, which is July through to November. It's had me going. Whee! There's a little bit of hootie McTootie. But it's been hard work, but it has been fun. I've found different charts that I've appeared in different countries. What else? I've actually found out quite a lot of different French history and to some extent culture. I still don't really understand the zebra crossing effect. It's like you can cross here, but only if we let you. So that's and now we've got bikes coming down the wrong way and up and down the other way. No, I don't believe, no. But yeah, Paris has got a new mayor, but you don't care about that because this is the best bits. I think, well, it's not very exciting best bits, this is it? But what were my best bits? My best bits obviously were, it was going to Paris, taking the time to record it, finding different locations, some of my regulars that I could go and sit in and enjoy. So that was Opère Tranquille, the Book Nook, and my little boulangerie just tucked around the corner from Gare du Nord. That's pretty much been it. A few little editing moments that I think have been quite cool, quite nice. I do forget what they are, but it's not a great best bits, is it? It's like, what are your best bits? Well, I made it. But yeah, I should have really thought about what I was going to say and maybe made notes, or and I had a quick rewatch. I did actually rewatch 4.10 to see if I had the news included, which I did, which is why in theory we had it again. I'm going to no, I'm not. I'm going to remember what I need to mention in my coming up bit in the coming up bit. So talking to the coming up bits, I'm going to now, I'm now going to ask the boys. And boys, what are your best bits? Now I'm hoping that they're slightly more animated than I've been.
The transitions from the news. Oh no, I'm going to tell. I don't know what Jasper means by the transition in the news, but what I'm going to do is how every time you change people. Is that what? That's exactly what you first. Oh, that's what I would have said though. I would have said that. Must have. Okay. That means Jasper needs to think of a new one. That means Jasper needs to think of a new one.
My best bit was where you switched to the news. Jasper. Thank you, Jasper. Back to you, Dad.
Okay, so other best bits. The fact that when I've gone round and spoken to some of my friends and families, like they're asking about it. Oh, how's it all going? Are you still doing it? Why haven't you stopped? That sort of thing. That's nice. But people are also asking me about Paris, almost like they think I'm an expert, which I suppose to those that don't know, I am. And that's actually quite a nice bit. Yes, it's not just, where are the best hotels to go to or which arrondissement would I recommend, but I'm doing bits about learning about Paris that no one's actually interested in, although, nobody's interested in it. There is no although to it. But that's what I enjoy the most. And my best bits were going deep diving, actually getting out the Louis chapters. That was hard. I call them chapters, the Louis episodes. That was hard work. That took me a while to do and redo, to write up again and get it all going. That wasn't easy. Was it a best bit? I completed it, mission accomplished. Yeah, I suppose to some extent. But it was also the other little bits and pieces along the way. As I said before, having to splice episodes just to make them fit. But the Parks and Gardens, that was nice. That was a dedicated two-parter, so I actually knew that was going to be 2 parts. Yeah, so I think, right, best bits, 50 episodes, bosh. Best bits, finally getting out the Louis XIV episodes, bosh. Best bits, being able to say bosh on a podcast. Also, the news. It has been wild and varied, and I've sort of caught up a little bit with French politics as well. I've really managed to get rugby on the map as well, and Eurovision. So congratulations to, bugger, I should have made a note of that. But it was Bungaranga. I was going to say Bolivia, but they're not even in it. I don't remember, but it was Bungaranga. Boop, boop. She came from out of nowhere, so well done to her. And now you've got some people talking over the tannoy. That's the excitement of recording at Gare du Nord. So, what else? Best bits. I don't think that I should do this whilst I'm exceptionally worn out, tired, and not having time to think about it, although I've had all season to think about it. So, that's it. 50 episodes. Hooray! Yeah, that's it. 50. That's not even on the zoomy bit. Zoomy McBoomy. 50. Let's zoom out. 50. Being able to sit down and record, that was hard work. There's a totally different style to what I've done before, visually. But But reading out over a microphone, that's so easy, because I used to be sitting in front of my computer just having like a proper podcast and not worrying about visuals. But now, because it's on video, hard work and difficult. But I've really got not much else to say, except thank you to the boys for constantly, this should be in the conclusion, but so I'll make this a conclusion as well.
Coffee Pot Conversations.
But thank you boys for always being there and listening to each episode on the day of release, except I think once we missed it and it had to be on a Wednesday, but that's because I had something going on at work. But also thanks to Nev for playing catch up. She's in Cyprus, although when this is released she would have been back, so I don't know how far she's got up to with the episodes. She's on season 4 now, so that's good. And that is that. So I'm going to leave this here because it's probably been 7-8 minutes of totalness, plus the Rory and Jasper bit. So let's call it Talkback 15. I would have had the news already. This will be the conclusion. So now it's time for Jasper's jingle.
Coming up on Coffee Pot Conversations.
We have season 6 starting all over again, which is going to be hard work. A lot of editing to do over the next month. That's down to me, not down to you guys. What I should have done in the conclusion was thank Luxembourg, Italy, Denmark, Austria and the Republic of Korea, because I've been in all your charts. So thank you, thank you. Thank you to everyone else that's still listening and paying attention. And also we're talking about the coming up. So coming up we do have season 6, which has been recorded. It's actually been recorded on the day that I'm recording this, which is just under a week before it's released. So that's one of those strange meta things that I love doing with these podcasts. Coming up in season 7, if A, I remember, and B, I can get around to it, I suppose C, I can be bothered, is going to be a what happened next section. That's going to be an interesting part, probably, maybe slightly humorous, probably not, but you can never tell. So you need to hang around for season 7, which will be at the beginning of 2027. Look at that, wow, that's exciting actually. But yeah, so maybe also coming up the next 50 episodes. I've got an interview still to do as well, so apologies to the chap who spent his time hooking up with me. I'm going to see if I can get a few more interviews done properly as well. I'm going to work between, I don't want to go down the Riverside route just because of like the 300 euros or 300 quid it's going to cost. I want to try and use Google Meet to see how that works, because, well, I've got it, why not? What else? Oh, pardon. That's it really. Hopefully Nev will be up and running again soon. So in theory, because they're little episodes, by the time that season 7 rolls around, she should be up to date. Yeah, so until then, which is season 7, no, season 6 is next. Until season 6, don't forget, keep the coffee hot, the pot warm, and the conversation cool. Now for the last time, for this season, season 5, episode 5.10, the best bits, episode 50, officials. Rory, it's over to you.
Coffee Pot Conversations.
So a few extra bits that I forgot to mention, somewhere along there, if I just stand here, then I can, just there, I believe is Nev, Rory and Jasper. But I want to say, using my trusty post-it note, I want to say hello to Jane and Wyatt, and your mum and dad, and also Wyatt's other half. So hello, I hope you enjoyed your stay in England. I hope you enjoyed the Eiffel Tower, and I hope you enjoyed Stonehenge. I also want to say hello to the Warrington couple. I didn't catch your names, but we were in Starbucks, and I hope that you have a happy time with your move to Canada. So thank you to those two sets of people. And also I want to say a quick thank you to, I forgot what the place was. It was opposite O'Sullivan's in Pigalle. Well, sort of near the Moulin Rouge, that side of Pigalle. And it was the other side of the road, nearer to the Cemetery de Montmartre. And I want to say to the chap behind the bar that served me, thank you for commenting upon my French accent. The whole 50 episodes, boy, I've been saying about how bad my French and my French accent are. Yeah, I managed to order my drink without issues. And it was there that I watched a rugby match, local French rugby, local to France, that is. So yeah, huge thank you. I've probably got the sun right in the wrong place. You can't see my face. I've got my sunglasses on. It's really struggling with the sun, but that's a bit better. There you go. That's who I am, looking up at the sky, but you can't see that. So if I was to go this way, that's what I'm looking at. But anyway, so there we go. That's just a quick thank you to that. I will be seeing you boys and girls in season 6. So I'm now going to add this part to the end of everything. So now, actually, for the last final time, after 50 official episodes, Rory, finally again, once more, sorry, this was really bad planning. I can't begin to tell you how bad the planning was for the best bits, but episode 6.10, season 6 best bits will be a lot more planned, I promise you. Anyway, thank you very much. And now for the very, very final last time of these 50 official episodes, Rory, it's over to you.
Coffee Pot Conversations.
My best bit is when you right.
When I'm trying.
When you're trans, that's my best bit.
Dad, I love it when you transition.
What?
I didn't see nothing.
Coffee Pot Conversations.